Alrighty, and we are live. How's it going, Mets and overall baseball fans? Thank you guys all so much for chiming in for the latest post-game show here on WardyNYM as the Metropolitans end in a tie 5-5 against the Astros away. I Bleav the Astros are in Jupiter, if I'm not mistaken, so that's where the Mets were. This was the Mets' first game this spring without a lot of their veterans, as a lot of guys are partaking in the World Baseball Classic. That does, in fact, start today with Team Cuba. I forget who they're playing against, but I know that Cuba is in game one tonight, headlined by, of course, Yoenis Cespedes. But in all seriousness, this was a whirlwind of a ball game, so I'm excited to get into it for you guys. Unfortunately, that was a tie. Couldn't even get the Mets a win here because they faltered in the bottom of the ninth. No less, still a lot of things to be happy about from a Mets fan in this performance, highlighting a lot of the kids. And this is something that you Mets fans have to get used to, or should get used to at least, throughout the next couple of weeks here in spring, because when you have Eduardo Escobar, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, etc., all these normal starting players for the Mets with their respective countries, their teams rather, for the WBC, this allows the young kids, the top prospects for the Mets, to really show out by getting more consistent playing time and taking the utmost advantage of it beyond what they already have here in the first couple weeks of spring. And that is headlined again by Brett Beatty, who looked phenomenal today, both defensively and offensively. Then you also have Ronnie Mauricio, continues to rake offensively. Francisco Alvarez finally gained his first base knock, I Bleav, of spring. So a lot of highlights to get into, and that's what we'll be deep diving. So guys, if you end up enjoying this kind of Mets content and you want to see more consistent post-game coverage like this all year long, aside from the regular season, we do it here in spring training too, then make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. Really means a lot. And of course, I have to let you all know that today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs. So make sure you head over to betonline.ag using promo code Bleav at BLEAV. That way you get yourself a 50% off welcome bonus. BetOnline, it's where the games begin. Folks, let's officially let the show begin. Again, shout out to each and every one of you for being here in the live show. To all my live viewers right now, appreciate Hey Jack, great member, all my other OGs, thank you guys so much. For people on replay, thank you so much too. Make sure to let me know your biggest takeaway from tonight's 5-5 tie with the Astros in the comments below. Shortly, we're going to be going over innings 1 through 9, the nit and the gritty, what transpired in this one. But before I do, I just want to add and make note with you guys what we saw recently with Jose Quintana. We did a quick video on the channel yesterday regarding it, so make sure to check that out if you haven't already. But in short, Jose Quintana looks like that he is going to be out with for a period of time, potentially 6 weeks, potentially 3 months. Like, we don't know for certain yet because he's sent back to New York to get imaging done. His flight was canceled today. Probably, I don't know why, maybe for weather reasons, not too sure, but he will be back in New York the next day or so, gain further imaging because he apparently has a quote-unquote stress fracture in the right rib on his left side, which is why he was pulled from a game a couple days ago after pitching a scoreless inning, including a strikeout. So Quintana, hoping the best for him, obviously, but because of this, now you're looking at David Pearson, the Tyler McGills of the world, to step up. And Tyler McGill certainly did his part today here in his spring outing. Really, really sharp. We'll get into that in a second. But Quintana, as unfortunate as it is, with him looking like he's likely going to be out probably for at minimum a couple months. Again, I'd love to be proven wrong, but that's just based on how long these things normally take when it comes to stress fractures. But there is one upside, and that's, as I said in my video yesterday, it's by having quality starting pitching depth, something that the Mets really haven't had in many years, deep-wise. Now they have it with Tyler McGill and David Pearson. That's going to be huge for them this upcoming season. And with Peterson looking like the favorite between the two, obviously, because Pearson starts 19 games for the Mets last year, was very sharp, very good. McGill, however, when healthy, can definitely be productive. So I'm excited to see them kind of duel things out and see who wins that fifth spot in the rotation. Again, should Quintana not start the year healthy and be on the shelf otherwise. But with that being said, let's get in this ball game. What transpired here? As you see in the highlights, I also have some Francisco Lindor just warm-ups with Team Puerto Rico. I'm going to be seeing Team Puerto Rico versus Team Venezuela this Saturday in Miami. I'm going to Port St. Lucie this weekend, guys. 10th to the 14th of March. So if you guys are at Port St. Lucie for the Mets during that time, or Miami, make sure to hit me up because I'm going to be there. I'm going to be with a couple other awesome YouTubers that many of you guys know, and we're going to be making some fun content out of that. So stay tuned for that one. But you saw Lindor there. He did the also the pass to Baez, the highlights too. Loved El Mago and his little short stint in Queens. Either loved him or hate him. But enough of me rambling. Let's get into this ball game. What's transpired? And let me also get some water here, and then we'll get going. And thank you for the kind words, Lisa. I appreciate that. And everyone else in the live show. Greatly appreciate every single one of you guys. So starts off in the first inning. And also, I'm sorry, last thing I got to say, meant to say to start the show, how annoying is it that this game was not televised. Look, I get it. I understand that it can be a little difficult at times. It's spring training, but even having said that, there's a market for people, thousands of people that will still watch a Mets spring training game, let alone an Astros spring training game, which they're facing each other. So the fact that the Astros didn't even have their network televised, that they didn't even have a live stream available on, say, MLB TV, which is what the Marlins do if it's not televised, they had nothing. And you couldn't even, if you went on Baseball Savant, you couldn't even Statcast it. I couldn't even get the exit velos. I couldn't get the amount of pitches that the pitchers are throwing. You got very little, and that's frustrating because there's a market for this. So that's just my biggest, bugaboo to start to start things. I wasn't happy having to now do a post-game show after just hearing a radio call and looking at the handful of highlights that they come up with that you see here in the right top right of the video. So frustrating. It is what it is. Again, I know it's not a big deal, but at the same time, there's a market, so why not maximize it? Especially when it's not like the Astros are a bad team. They just won the World Series. There's still a market for people that would want to watch the diehards. Same thing with the Mets here, even with a lot of guys away at the WBC. But now let's get in the first inning with one out. Alex Bregman with a double off of Cookie Carrasco, making his second start of the spring. And Cookie looked a lot better than his first start. Madris with a single, but that would do her. Nothing would happen there in the first. We get to the second. Mark Canha with a base knock, his first of two on the day. Darren Ruff with a double play. And let's talk about Darren Ruff for a minute. There are a lot of people griping at just looking at the lineup that was announced like 5 hours before the game today from Buck that Darren Ruff would be batting fifth today. His first official spring game after getting that shot in his wrist because he's dealt with some pain in there over the past couple of years. No less, Darren Ruff, his first game this spring, and he was absolutely putrid. So for all the Darren Ruff haters, again, I'm not a Darren Ruff fan, obviously, but for the people like the Frank Flemings of the world, my goodness, you can have a field day with this guy's spring for performance. Again, it's spring. It doesn't mean too much. But in the case of Ruff, a guy who isn't even a lock to crack this roster, I think is a fair thing to say, would have Timmy LaCastro and a lot of other guys have done to perform as a guy that could be available off the bench. Yeah, Ruff needs to kind of get something going in fast if he wants to secure a roster spot for the Mets here. No less, Ruff with a double play, Vientos with a single, and Tomas Nido with a single. Now do her for the top of the first. In the top of the second. In the bottom of the second, Kessinger rips a solo bomb off of Cookie Carrasco. That'll be the only run that Cookie surrenders today, but no less, it gives the Astros an early 1-0 lead. As we head to the third inning with one out, Timmy LaCastro with a base knock and a single. I feel like I've been saying that every single time that LaCastro has been a part of anything. And LaCastro, he's just been so good for the Mets this spring. I cannot say enough good things about this guy. Fourth outfield spot, a part of me wants him over Tommy Pham right now because Tommy Pham was absolutely god-awful with the glove again today, and he has barely hit. Again, it's spring, so I know that I should only take it with a grain of salt. Having said that, however, Pham has done anything but impress me thus far. LaCastro has done everything to impress me and then some, and he gives you actually a very solid glove in the corner if you need be, wherever you want to put him. At speed demon, and again, gets on base at a good clip. And once he gets on base, he's almost sure locked to steal a base. So, Pham, I know he's going to start the year as a fourth outfielder, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing from LaCastro. But having said that, speaking of the devil, Tommy Pham rips a base knock, his only hit of the day right afterwards. And then Mark Canha drives in Timmy LaCastro with an RBI single, Canha's second hit of the day in only 3 innings. Mets tied the ball game 1-1. It would stay that way for a little bit. However, we head to the fourth inning. At this point, Carlos Carrasco's day was done. As you can see here from Cookie's numbers, Cookie finished the day 3 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 0 walks, 2 strikeouts. I don't know how many pitches he threw. I couldn't find those numbers. Again, I was annoyed that those weren't tracked, but it is what it is. But no less, Carrasco, again, very solid outing today. Happy to see him have this type of production. Again, a guy that the Mets are going to have to bank on now to start the year. Should Quintana be out with injury, you need as much pitching depth as possible. Another factor as to why the Mets also decide not to trade Carrasco after really toying with the idea of dealing him throughout the majority of the offseason. We head to the fourth inning. Tyler McGill comes in, and Tyler has a beautiful 1-2-3 inning, including 2 strikeouts. We get to the fifth inning with 2 outs. Dubon for the Astros gets a walk. Bregman with a single. Perez with a strikeout would then end the inning. So Tyler McGill, 2 clean innings, and then as we get to the 6th, gets in a little bit of a jam here, however. Let's see. Did I mess up something here? No, I didn't. Okay. So in the 6th, Matijevic, I can't say his name right, Astros minor leaguer, gets walk on base after 1 out. McGill's day is done at that point. So McGill, again, that's why he gets in my top 5. McGill, 2.1 innings pitched today, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and has a 2 ERA this spring. Tyler McGill looked very sharp today. Very happy with Big Drip. Also, shout out to Julie, good friend of mine. She is in fact Tyler's mama, who's a great member and supporter on the channel. No less, afterwards, William Woods would come in for relief. Tommy Pham mishandles a ball terribly in left. He goes for it, it drops, so he doesn't get to it in time. Then when he tries to get to it, he boots it a little bit. Did his best Michael Conforto in right impression. If you guys don't remember, a couple years ago, Conforto, I think it was 2021 season, where he actually booted a ball going down to get it. Again, Michael's light years ahead, a better defender than Tommy Pham at this point in their respective careers, but the point still stands. It was like the same play. So again, Tommy Pham had a rough one in left field. The guy is not a competent defender by any stretch in comparison to a lot of the other guys that we've seen in the corner for the Mets. I mean, Mark Canha is just looks so much more comfortable there, but it is what it is. No less, why is Brett Baty in my top 5, you might ask today? Again, he was 1 for 2 with RBI that we'll get to shortly, but it was Brett Baty's defense that really took the cake today, folks. He didn't have 1, but 2 phenomenal plays from third base. One was a deep third base in the foul range area, making a beautiful throw. And this was from Anthony DiComo, quoting him himself from what he witnessed at the game today. Mets beat writer, of course, he said in the following, and I quote, "He had a highlight reel play to end the 6th inning tonight, ranging into foul ground to snare a grounder or firing across the diamond for the out, despite his momentum going in the other direction." Now, you can see that highlight on SNY's Twitter. The only reason why I don't have the highlights here is because the camera angle was bad, so I really couldn't crop it in a way where I kind of liked how it looked for the viewing pleasure of you guys. But Baty didn't make just 1 highlight reel throw to end the inning in the 6th. He made a beautiful throw charging the ball this time, in which he had an error just a day or two ago doing that exact same play. So sharp, drilled him out one-legged to first. Baty looks superb with the glove today. I mean, the range was off the charts. That is great. That's exactly what you want to see for all of us. You know, Brett Baty stands. I hope to see this guy crack the Mets roster. The bat-to-ball skills we all know is there, but now it's the other ability, that defense. How competent, how decent can it be? Well, today he showed some life in it, and yeah, the Brett Baty defensive stock is certainly rising. No less, we head to the 7th inning with 1 out. Francisco Alvarez with his first base knock of the day. It's his first of spring, rather. Peraza reaches on a throwing error. Baty with an RBI ground out to give the Mets the run. Almonte with a walk. Abraham Almonte has looked really strong all spring. Pham with a walk, and then Ronnie Mauricio in his first at-bat today rips an easy 2-run single to give the Mets the further lead there. At that point, if I'm not mistaken, it was 4-1. Ronnie Mauricio, again, that's why he becomes the number 1 starter today. When your first at-bat, you take it like a champ. 2 runs in, yeah, you're going to crack it, and I'm going to put you on the thumbnail. I got it. Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Baty, Francisco Alvarez, all these guys hit today. All these guys were productive. That's exactly what you want to see this spring, and hopefully for the next couple weeks, especially when I'll be in attendance this weekend attending games, to see how these kids are looking, given more opportunities, knowing that a lot of the Mets vets are playing for the respective teams for the WBC. In the bottom of the 7th, a guy who I would have easily had in my top 5 if it wasn't just for, the fact that I already had it full, and that is John Curtis. John Curtis has been a stud to start spring. Mets right-hand reliever, expecting to crack this bullpen because of how strong he's had to start here in spring, but also because of why the Mets signed him a year ago when he was having Tommy John surgery. Curtis, with 1 out, gives up a single to Whitcomb for the not for the Angels, for the Astros. But that'll do her. I mean, he strikes up the next 3 batters he faces, and in total has a 1 scroll city, 1 hit, 0 walks, 0 earned runs, 3 strikeouts. John Curtis has been beautiful so far in spring for the Mets, and again, unless he completely falls off a cliff, or the Mets really, really like someone more, because I do believe Curtis has 1 more option be sent to the minor leagues. I find it hard-pressed that he won't be in this starting bullpen with the way he's looked thus far. Truly, I'd be a little surprised, almost shocked, rather, with how sharp he has looked. But again, it's spring training, so we'll see how everything transpires. We then get to the 8th inning with 2 outs. Jalen Davis with a solo home run. A 28-year-old minor leaguer in the Mets organization now. Davis ripped a no-doubt solo bomb to left to increase the Mets' lead at that point, 5-1. Then in the 8th inning, Joey Fuego, Joey Lucchesi, who I absolutely love, unfortunately just wasn't his day. And again, that's going to happen at times. Stubbs gets himself a walk. If you're wondering, Stubbs, CJ Stubbs, yes, he is the brother of the other Stubbs with the Phillies, who pretty sure he had a big hit against the Astros last year too. And I know that he's had big hits against the Mets because I've been in attendance when he's hit multiple home runs in, 1 game against the Mets. Why? Because of course, that's my luck. Stubbs with a walk, Price with a walk, Cerny with an RBI single and a double play would end the inning. So Joey Fuego wasn't sharp, wasn't great, but at least he only surrendered that one run after, again, having, multiple guys on to start the inning there in the eighth. Then we get to the top of the ninth. Brett Baty doing what he does best. It reminds me so much, not even as much McNeil because the exit velo. Brett Baty's ability to spread the field with the bat reminds me a lot of Michael Conforto in a great way. As someone who's a diehard Michael Conforto fan, I will always root for that guy. He was my favorite Met when he was here in Queens. Brett Baty, every single time this guy gets a base hit, he's hitting either a single, a double, or even an oppo home run. It's all opposite field. And no, it's not because he's swinging. It's not because of the fact that he's swinging too early. He is just spreading the ball beautifully. So Brett Baty gets his first single of the day, even though he already had an RBI ground out, which made him 1 for 2 there, and a stolen base. And then he would eventually get to third base thanks to a balk from the starting pitcher there, not starting pitcher, the reliever that was in for the Astros, but nothing else would happen there in the ninth. We get to the bottom of the ninth. This is what led to the tie, folks. Where's Gigi and all this? Gigi's laying down right now as the Stormy is drinking water. I have 2 bunnies in case you guys don't know. I will be showing them plenty throughout the regular season when we do streams for fun, especially after wins. Spring, probably going to hold back because I don't want to disrupt her, but she's chilling. She's enjoying herself. Shout out to OGs who know who Gigi and Stormy are. Then we get to the ninth, bottom of the ninth. Zach Green, again, the Rule 5 pick that the Mets acquired from the Yankees organization. Solid right-hand reliever, looked sharp in AAA last year with a 3.5-year ERA. A lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts, but a lot of walks. Getting the command down is key, and he had by far his worst outing here in spring. And I think this is his third appearance, if I'm not mistaken. Green, however, Jukes gets a walk. Again, all guys who I don't know in the Astros farm system. Whitaker with a single. Stubbs with a 3-run home run to tie the game. 5-5 at that point. Courtney comes in, a reliever for the Mets who is not, I don't want to say a nobody. He's just a minor leaguer, so I don't have great familiarity with him. Matijevic, I can't say the guy's name for the Astros. Again, gets a base knock, second of the day. Price with a single. Cerny with a walk. Bases loaded. 2 outs. All the Astros need is a single to win this ball game because they were not going to go to extra innings. That's how spring works a lot of the times. And he gets the ground out from Baty to first to end the game. So in total, the Mets tie the Astros again 5-5. Darren Ruff, for people that are wondering, he went 0 for 3 today with 2 strikeouts, a double play, left 3 on base. Not a great look, but it's spring training. And again, I'm not trying to be a Frank Fleming out here and call Darren Ruff the worst thing imaginable. The guy's aware on how the social media is with him, so not going to rag on him too much. However, he's not a guy that I want on this Mets roster right now. I mean, I've felt that way for a while, not just because of what we saw last year, the fact that he's already having wrist issues to start the year. I think that what the Mets have internally can, in fact, be superior to what Darren Ruff can give you. Even, again, that could be a situation where, let's say, hypothetically, the Mets decide to cut Ruff before the season begins, and he gets picked up elsewhere and he goes back to his normal ways. Okay, but there was no guarantee that he was going to have that production here in Queens. There are just some guys that don't transition here well, and the fan base is brutal. We all know that, so it doesn't help their chances. Not everyone can be strong-minded the way that Francisco Lindor can and be absolutely heckled like crazy his first couple months in Queens because he didn't hit for shit, and then he comes out and is back to the Lindor of old over the past year and a half. Since then. So, Ruff is going to be an interesting thing to follow what the Mets do in the DH spot with the not only Vogelback, but the guys will assumably hit against left-handed pitching, but also that fourth outfield spot. All these things are going to be up in the air for a minute. Shout out to my members in here, Mr. Delightful, Kevin Weiss, all you guys, all my normal viewers, and OGs, make sure to smash that like and subscribe. It means a lot. Let's go through the final numbers here, and then I'll answer a couple more questions before we wrap things up. LeCastro, 1 for 3 on the day and a run scored. Brett Baty, 1 for 2 with the RBI. Luis Gourmet, 0 for 2 with the walk. Almonte, 0 for 1 with a run scored and a walk. Pham, 1 for 3 with a walk. Cedrola, 0 for 1. Canna, 2 for 3 with the RBI, which is why he's in my top 5. Ryan Mauricio, 1 for 2 with the 2 RBIs. Darren Ruff, 0 for 3. Alex Ramirez, Mets top outfield prospect, 0 for 1. Vientos, 1 for 3 today. Again, Marky V continuing to hit. I don't even know if I said that when I was. Yeah, I did say that earlier. Whitaker, 0 for 1. Nito, 1 for 3. Perez, 0 for 1. Francisco Alvarez, 1 for 3 with the run scored. Jalen Davis, the home run. Peraza, 0 for 3. And Ritter, 0 for 1 with a run scored. So that's all the stat lines you really need to know. I talked about the pitchers. Yep, I went over all of them. So, yeah, my final takeaway from this game is, 1, It was nice to see the kids be given this opportunity. And, there were people complaining to me before the game even began that they weren't happy with the lineup, that they wanted to see more, in the sense they wanted to see more of, they want to see Beatty starting. They want to see Mauricio starting. Trust me, the same thing with Alvarez at catching position. I assure you guys, these guys are going to be starting a good portion in the second half of spring here, with these vets now out playing for the respective teams. So now is the time for Beatty, Mauricio, Alvarez, all to thrive, take full advantage of your opportunities. So far, so good. Let's see more of that. But again, Beatty and Mauricio especially have been nothing but absolutely phenomenal so far here in spring. I hope for both their cases that this continues throughout the remainder of spring and really give the Mets tougher decisions than what they were expecting initially heading into the 2023 season and how they're going to go about their roster configuration. But to the top 5 you see there in the bottom right, and Quintana, we went over that. So last thing is World Baseball Classic. Get excited. It's going to be fun. Something that I'm going to try to do my best to make a note of is when we do post-game shows for the Mets over the next week, because this will probably be the last post-game show and for a couple days at least. Tomorrow we're probably going to do the Bleav in Queens podcast right after the Mets play Team Venezuela. So we're going to just do our normal podcast, maybe briefly talk about the game that transpired, but it's exhibition game, so it means even less, if you will. Pardon me, it's against Nicaragua. Venezuela is on Thursday, and Thursday's game I don't know for certain if I will be covering, because I'll be traveling, because then on Friday I will be taking a very early flight to Port St. Lucie. And that is how the spring training experience for me will begin for the first time that Friday, all the way until Tuesday evening. I'll be in Port St. Lucie or Miami at Mets games or WBC games. So a lot of coverage will be coming out, but you might not just have as much standard streams as you will have probably more quick recaps off my phone and vlogs. If we do any player interviews or anything fun like that, then we'll certainly do that too. Sock Puppets needs a new era fitted. Yeah, I agree. And shout out to the Sock Puppets. Had a blast playing against them last year with a lot of amazing YouTubers. But guys, I think that's going to wrap things up. I thank you all so much for watching. Continue smashing that like and subscribe on. Again, stay tuned. We will have podcast more than likely tomorrow night after the Mets game against Team Nicaragua. And then after that, we might not have content for like a day at most, but we will be coming out with versions of content, whether that's off the phone with other YouTubers. I know you guys are going to know very well who they are. You should, at least, very soon once I start doing content with them. But again, guys, thank you for the endless support. Love you all to death. Stay tuned for more great content. As always, if you like post-game shows, this is the place to be. And of course, for people on replay, let me know your thoughts, your biggest takeaways from tonight's 5-5 tie in the comments below. Thank you guys again. Have a great one. And as always, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.